Hello, welcome to another episode of Ray's Music Reviews.
Starring Ray.
Surprisingly.
The eponymous Ray.
And?
Writer, producer, designer.
I have not produced anything. I have not designed
on-air
anything. I have not.
Character.
I have literally not done a single thing.
Artist.
Oh,
Auteur.
First of all, that's not true. You picked the album and you wrote the question, so.
That's producing, baby.
Yeah, what do you think producing is?
Welcome to the business. All right, what are we talking about this week?
We're talking about Californication by Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Indie band.
Indie band.
Indie band. We've only done indie bands here, you know. Guns N' Roses. Prince.
Probably never heard of him.
What's crazy is there was a time
I mean,
for all of these bands when they were indie bands.
Can you imagine seeing young Prince in like a bar or whatever?
Dude.
Unreal.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, and what's funny
How
too
could
is
you see him and not like immediately be like, okay, that guy's it.
Yeah,
that guy's it.
Well, he walks out there in like late 70s, early 80s in high heels,
like a blouse,
fishnet.
Oh yeah.
Blouse. Garter.
Yes.
Thong.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't see it, but thong.
Trench coat. No shirt.
Yes.
Tie.
Yes.
Let's go.
All right.
Okay, now what were we saying, Ray?
Red Hot Chili Peppers, Californication.
Mm-hmm.
What do we want to get into right now?
Should I ask questions?
Yes, that was the cue.
You're supposed to be the producer here.
How do you feel about the opening track?
Around the World.
It's okay. I don't have a whole. I like the weird ding dang dong thing they do at the end, and I like the little story that it had behind it, where that was just like their kind of placeholder thing, and when they were playing it, like his daughter or whatever was like, oh, I like the ding dang dongs.
Right.
So they put it back in the last bit.
Right.
I get that part stuck in my head more than any other part.
It's good. I like it very much.
I think
classic Chili Pepper sounding song.
The da-na-na-na-na-na thing was a great way to open it.
High energy.
I think I liked Flea screaming. I think that was Flea.
I just like that he's named Flea more than anything.
Well, and you know what too? Like, if you want to talk about album openers, right? The story of this record, I assume, is they do One Hot Minute. It's a different guitarist, Dave Navarro from Jane's Addiction. It's not as well received as some of the other things they have done. They're not really the Chili Peppers anymore. They go back and get Fischetta. He comes in, and the first song we have, the first time you listen to this reincarnation of the original thing, is an actual Chili Pepper sounding song.
Very much.
And like you said, it begins with Flea reminding you of who we were in the first place. Right? So to me, it's a very good opener.
Yeah.
Okay, so then how do we feel about the closing track?
Road Trippin'.
Track 15.
No drums on this track.
It was fun.
I thought it was...
Chad Smith got tired after recording 14 tracks and left the studio.
Quite a bit on this album. I liked the kind of more contemplative nature of it. I thought it fit well as the ending track to it.
I thought it fit well, as I'm guessing this entire point of this album is the love-hate relationship with California, as they say as every song is about California. I think its melancholy nature helps the ending of the album.
That's interesting that you say that. I don't love this song.
You don't love this song?
I
don't love it.
I don't necessarily think it needed to be there. But your point about, to me, the Chili Peppers are the quintessential California band since the Beast Boys, since they came on the scene. Like, Guns N' Roses is from California. I don't think of California when I hear them. I think of Sunset Strip. There are other bands that, I guess the Eagles were at one point in that California rock sound that took over the airwaves with other bands. But once the Chili Peppers came on the scene, I can hear ska, I can hear funk, I can hear rap, I can hear rock, I can hear punk. I can feel them listening to and creating music on the way to the beach. I can see them at bonfires.
Yes.
The whole thing, you know what I mean? The whole aesthetic of California is Chili Peppers. You know what I mean? And I get where you're coming from. And also where the content of the album, again, we're reminding you who we are, right? So what are we talking about? We're talking about who we are,
Yes.
where we're from. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Your favorite and least favorite tracks on the album.
My favorite song, Other Side. Parallel Universe 2. I like how huge Parallel Universe was.
What do you like about Other Side?
Other Side, I mostly like the story it tells. I also do really like the vocal harmonies that Flea does. Of course, I gotta mention Scar Tissue.
One of their biggest hits.
Probably their biggest ballad. No, Under the Bridge is a thing.
It is a thing.
Probably their second biggest ballad.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say I Like Dirt sounds great. You?
I like Dirt was my favorite song.
Do you want to talk about it?
It has like it's just funky, man.
It is.
It's real funky, and it's like, what is it about?
It's like it's perfect Chili Peppers. It's like if funk was a punk band.
Very much so.
You know what I mean?
I like that vibe way more.
That's literally
Yes.
like all they did in their Blood Sugar Sex Magic days.
Yeah. But you're gonna say that what's your least favorite?
I guess I go Purple Stain.
Purple Stain for me as well. Yeah, Purple Stain.
Okay, I would say Road Trippin' is my least favorite track.
That's fair.
On it.
Yeah.
And it just to me,
I apologize if I'm too far away from the microphone at any point.
but to me, how do I put it? Once I got to track 15,
This album's too long.
I didn't need that at the end. You know what I mean? Like I felt like I'd already heard that a couple of times by the time I got to that. And so, but anyway, how did we feel about the production and mixing on this record?
This was probably my big problem with the album. I did not like the whole loudness war issue that it had.
Can you tell me what that means?
You remember what everyone was getting angry about when Death Magnetic came out? Everyone was talking bad about the production. That's kind of what I'm talking about here. It's very look it up. It's very difficult. If I explained it all right here, we'd be here for like an hour. And it's
Was it
really,
just that they were mixing it to be as loud as possible? Is that like an element of it? 'Cause that's what it sounds like.
It's like what Oasis did with What's the Story, Morning Glory. That was kind of the first
It's just loud.
thing. Yeah, it's just
mixed to
loud.
be very loud.
Yeah, that's basically it. Sometimes the audio clips.
Yeah, it doesn't help. I don't think it helps this album at all because it really starts to blend together at a certain point.
It doesn't allow for nuances.
No, there was up to Californication, I'm barely able to tell you what songs there are because they just all blended together for me. Because
Right.
it's just loud and I couldn't hear the minute differences. It was just I just felt like I wasn't getting any detail when I was listening to it.
But that's like pretty much my only real big problem with it, and maybe it's a little bloated, but
By little, do you mean a lot?
I mean some of the great albums are bloated. I mean,
No, that's probably going to be those two are my major issues with the album is that it is straight up bloated.
yeah, but also some of the great albums are Beatles' White Album.
But this album ain't great.
So, yeah, literally before
I agree.
before we videoed, you said this album's great.
Wait.
So
no.
what is the truth? We'll
He's
get there.
lying.
No. There is a great album inside of this album.
Oh yeah.
There is a great album inside of this album.
Yeah.
You go to Around the World, I like Parallel Universe. I like Scar Tissue. I like Other Side. I like Get On Top. I like Californication. Right there. You in that album right there, you give me an EP, I'm singing and dancing. This is incredible.
You're out the gate.
If I bought this in a tape format or a vinyl format, that's side one. I'm thinking when I flip it over to side two, I'm getting the greatest thing to ever live. right? I mean, maybe not the greatest, but you get where I'm coming from. This is great up until, like you said, what didn't you just say Californication?
Yeah, basically up until Californication, yeah.
And then it just starts to, it ain't as great. That's all. And now I Like Dirt is down there a little bit further. Now you could have put I Like Dirt at the end, give me 2 of those other songs, and this is a great album.
But stuff like Emmett and Remus, stuff like that.
Porcelain.
Porcelain. I don't know.
Porcelain's good.
I think fits at least with the vibe of it, because it's
Right.
about someone who's like messed up on drugs,
Mhm.
and like I don't know, because this goes wildly back and forth sometimes, like too much
Mhm.
in terms of like what it's talking about in its song, and stuff like Purple Stain. Why is this on this album?
Right. Now, I'm one of those guys, too, though. It's funny that we say that, because I'm one of those guys, I don't necessarily hold it against you if you give me every bit of material you have. Because I don't mind sifting through it and just not listening to what I don't like.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to judge it as an album, that is different from saying, I appreciate you giving me all that you have. I appreciate them giving me everything in their thing. But if you want me to rank it as an album, I have to rank
It's part of the album.
all 15 songs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't just give you one. And like you said, like you both hit on, the production doesn't allow for the nuances, and the nuances are what make music great. Right?
And that, I guess that's why I like Dirt a lot. Because
Right.
I could kind of hear it.
Right. Right. Exactly. You could hear the individuals. You could hear what the guitar is doing, and what the bass is doing, and what the drums are doing,
Yes.
and what Anthony's doing. What did you think about Anthony's performance on this?
That's the singer, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Anthony
I don't
Kiedis.
know a whole lot about.
Okay, yeah, he's the singer.
I read a little bit about him and like his experiences in the past, especially the song relating to his father and all that. So I do know a little bit about him. But his performance on this album, I felt almost a little grating by the end. Again, I think the album was just too long, where it just kind of everything ran its course, you know.
I don't
Right.
think there was really anybody else who would fit this album more than Anthony.
Oh, only he can sing for them.
No, yeah,
Like, you can't. It wouldn't be the Chili. Like, he's really irreplaceable.
his voice is an instrument of the band.
For better or worse. You know, and he is a bit of a lightning rod. There are people who, not as a human, like I think most people either feel bad for him or don't, you know what I mean, or love him very much, but there's not like negativity in his direction on that. But I do think that there are people who don't like the Chili Peppers. It's funny because when I work around younger people, a lot of them are like, all of it just sounds the same. And it's weird because when I was coming up, the whole point of the Chili Peppers was they were different from everything else.
I mean, I feel that heavily in some of these albums where I'm just like, man, I feel like I've just heard this done in a way I liked better. I feel
Even by them.
Oh yeah, even by them, where it's just like, I don't know, it's kind of an issue looking back, because at the time it was like, oh, it was different and revolutionary, and it was like this really cool mix of like funk and punk,
Right.
and it's awesome. But like, I've heard other things that were like it that I liked better.
Right.
I don't know.
But, well, I've heard other things by them that I like better. And
Also
like we said, I like the first, like I heard it better in this album. You know, I heard it better 3 songs up.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's, and I like the record. I just don't like all of the record. You know, which I think is a fair thing to say. Anything else we got on this?
Not
We could rate it.
really.
Well, we're gonna rate it.
Oh, okay, that's fair. No, I didn't have any other like major. I pretty much already aired my grievances.
Flea's a bit of a monster.
Yeah,
He's quite a player.
he's quite a player.
Right.
Yeah, I actually do want to point out the
I was
bass and
actually-
drums are very good.
Actually,
There's a reason why you
when
know
you
their
can hear
names.
them.
There's a reason why you know
Yeah,
their names.
yeah.
actually, a funny story. When we were doing the Red Hot Chili Peppers versus Primus thing, and you were talking about, oh, Les Claypool is a great bassist, I was about to say, and Flea's not.
Very true.
It's a valid point.
Very true.
But
How would we rate this album?
6.
Feeling an 8.
An 8. Pretty good.
I mean, it's a little bloated, but
I mean, I personally just don't like it a whole lot.
You gave it 6.
I gave it a 6. Yeah. I mean, it's good, and it's just there's just major problems with it for me.
I think I'll split the difference. I think
7.
I'll go with a 7. Because, like I said, if we end
Actually, hold up.
Go ahead.
I think I'm gonna switch to a 7 too.
All right, I'm switching to a 5.
Okay, well then
No,
I'm,
I'm
Just
just
basically.
I'm going to
joking.
split the difference and go 6 here.
No, I'm gonna keep it at a 6.
Okay, then I'll go back 7.
All right, cool.
Wait, what?
Right. As we wrap up talk about this album, it reminded you said it was a great album. It's funny because when you told me
I didn't say. I said it. It is a very important album.
No, you said I said it was a great album.
I like some.
I'm going to piggyback off
Or
that
you really liked
because
it.
the neat thing about this was I hadn't listened to the Peppers in a while, except for whatever comes on, whenever, which is not that much lately. And I put it in, and I'm like, man, first couple of notes, I'm like, man, I really miss the Chili Peppers. And we got to about song 6, like we said, and I'm like, man, this is really good. I mean, this is awesome. And I think that was the first day, and he was like, dude, what'd you think? I'm like, man, I freaking love them. But then I got to track 8, 9, 10. And then I'm like, how many tracks are on this record? Right? So that's kind of what we've been saying the whole time.
I
Yeah.
will
It's
say
funny.
something about this record, though. It did make me want to listen to "By the Way" and their earlier stuff a lot more.
Right.
Yeah, it did make me want to listen to "By the Way" and "Blood Sugar Sex" and "One Hot Minute" a little more.
Absolutely. Okay, now we're going to go into
And to
Battles.
battles.
what have you got, Ray?
This one is one dad recommended to the podcast. Muse versus Coldplay. One
Muse.
dad. Okay, all for Muse say aye.
I stand alone.
All for Coldplay say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now
I just like Muse.
I'll say something a little more just general. I like Coldplay's more melancholy nature a little more, but I would not have chose this. All right, after we did the bands I've never listened to a song from, right?
Right.
And I said Muse, and Muse was the one band that I really dove into, and I really liked all of their pretty much Origin of Cemetery up into what was the Symmetry? Sorry, up until
Shoot. What was it?
what was it? The one before the Resistance.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about, though.
And it's crazy to me because the 2010s were absolutely abysmal for that band.
Yeah,
Just-
their earlier stuff's like way better.
Just three straight albums of just
Missing the mark by a bit.
3 straight albums of what are you doing? And Coldplay, they didn't have the best 2010, but they didn't have an awful 2010. It was their 2010 was But I do think that 2010s thing is what kind of edged the bar a little bit.
Why did you come to Muse?
I just like Muse way more. Like, I like what I've heard from Coldplay, but it never, like, stood out to me in any sense. Muse is kind of not exactly anyone like them. You know what I mean?
They're their own thing.
Yeah. Especially, again, I've mostly listened to their earlier stuff.
Did
It's
Radiohead
just fun.
just not exist anymore? They're heavily influenced. They're influenced by Radiohead the same way Oasis are influenced by the Beatles.
Yeah, that's true. I do see that.
And like I'm not, because that's kind of a joke everyone makes, but
Chris Martin's Dreamy.
It's true.
Have you seen that video?
That's totally valid.
Have you seen the
Absolutely.
video of the dude videoing Chris Martin, and Chris Martin absolutely floors him and takes his camera?
He's dreamy, though.
Dreamy and violent.
Because paparazzi are dumb anyway, so it's just and you just got floored by Chris Martin on
Heavy
camera.
on the pop. Get it? Because he hit him?
All right.
What's next?
Foo Fighters versus Queens of the Stone Age. Now, I thought of this one because they're kind of the first bands. Foo Fighters is the first band most people think of when they think of rock, and Queens of the Stone Age are the first band I think of when I think of rock. I could literally not qualify Queens of the Stone Age as
Hold on.
anything but straight up rock.
What do you mean by rock?
Rock is too nebulous of a genre for me to think about any, like, one band without being like, oh, it's punk rock or hard rock.
Do you mean like modern rock music?
Or modern rock or
That's
Okay.
true. If
Yeah,
you said
or
modern
what, like-
rock, I would think of Foo
Well,
Fighters.
think about it. The only band you ever see at the Grammys is the Foo Fighters. They don't do it.
Yeah.
No other rock band gets mainstream. Like they had
Well, like they
Metallica
did.
on when they went digging for a band the other day.
Yeah.
That's not a young. Okay,
No.
it's the Foo Fighters.
But when I think when there Queens of the Stone Age is the one band who I do not classify as anything but rock.
I like it.
And I like Queens of the Stone Age.
All for Foo Fighters, say aye. All for Queens of the Stone Age, say aye. Aye. They're just better.
Yeah.
Less material though.
Do they have less material?
Queens of the Stone
Age have.
They don't have a very big discography.
How much
but-
does Foo Fighters have? Because I thought Foo Fighters only had like 3 albums.
No,
plus an
they
EP
had
or
they
something
have
like
a lot
that?
more than 3.
Oh, shit,
they
I only
they
know
have
about 3 of them.
they have a lot more than 3.
Queens of the Stone Age is just like,
One,
I love that guy's voice.
6, 7,
oh, dude,
8,
it's
9,
great.
10.
Dude, he's great. He's got a band called. He did an album with Dave, right? David Grohl, John Paul Jones,
Yeah,
and him.
Dave was
did-
literally a drummer for him.
They did Them Crooked Vultures, bro.
Yes.
So good. It's better than both bands.
I would not say that, but
I'd say Songs for the Deaf is better than anything in Foo Fighters' discography, though.
Right. But to me, you know what the Foo Fighters are to me?
Yeah.
The Foo Fighters are like the gateway drug to people who want to listen to rock music.
It's true.
You put your toe in the water, temperature's good, go swimming. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Like, I know, especially, there's a whole generation out there that the Foo Fighters are their freaking Beatles, dude.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, so just because we like Queensryche more, hey, that's
Queensryche?
I said Queensryche,
Not
which we do.
No.
Queensryche is way better than those bands.
No.
Get out of here.
They
Rock
might be a better
operas.
live band.
They're building empires.
They might be a better live band, but that's not saying much since
Silent Stupidity. Nobody's
since
got a
the
song
lead
like
singer
that.
since the lead singer of Queens of the Stone
Thank
Age.
God.
The lead singer of Queens of the Stone Age literally kicked the camera of a cameraman or camerawoman and
So?
knocked him out.
So, Jeff
He
Tate
cut
spit
himself
on his
bleeding
drummer.
on the stage.
Dreamy. Violence is dreamy, baby.
The Cure versus the Smiths. This is a popular one I've been saying
Oh,
resonating within the internet.
I can't believe that there's an argument. Go ahead.
All for the Smiths, say aye. All for the Cure, say aye.
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 The Cure are great.
Dude, yeah. Cure,
They,
great.
they do all that stuff that you're supposed to do. It's a little bit of rock, a little bit of Pink Floyd, a little bit of dance music, a little bit of darkness. It's great.
It's great. It's true emo, or what goth emo, whatever.
It is. It is the
Goth,
evolution. It is
emo.
the beginning. It is the root of the tree.
Yes.
I
The goth tree.
Yes. It all springs
The
out.
weeping willow.
Yeah, the weeping willow. Yes, perfect. I love it.
So we just hate the Smiths here. We just despise them.
I don't like Morrissey much,
Oh, Morrissey's.
but I will say this: the Smiths had their moment, and it was it was a thing.
Yeah.
But
But
the
the
Cure
Cure
had their moment
better.
and kept their moment going a little longer.
The Cure just kind of better.
Mhm.
And we are going to finish on a classic, the Beatles versus the Rolling Stones, which is it's just kind of etched in history. All for the Beatles, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All for the Stones, say aye.
Aye.
I'm not even like that big of a fan of the Beatles, but I just think that the breadth of their work is
I've kind
Incredible.
of I'm sorry, but
that's the factor for me. It's just
the
the
Beatles
wideness.
the Beatles are just even though I said this, I never really got this comparison, saying that the Beatles are kind of on a different level. Just
I get it, dude. The Beatles are even the genesis of the Stones. You know what I mean? Like they're
like the
it's,
Stones are one of the best bands in the world ever.
well, and
to
the
do
Beatles
anything.
are kind of sort of the same age as
And-
Stones, and actually,
And here's the thing: the Beatles probably are the best band to do anything. just through a pure influential
Again,
look.
It's so weird to talk about the Beatles in like a comparison like this because they are such a influential group and a so heavily mythologized group where it's like they're almost more than a band. That it's weird to be like, you know what I mean?
You don't think the Rolling Stones are more than a band?
Well, not at the same level that people talk about the Beatles. People love the Stones. People, I mean, the lips and all that, they're everywhere. It is ubiquitous in that same kind of way, but people do. I grew up hearing people talk about the Beatles like they were gods. You know
I get
what
it.
I mean?
Yeah.
And I just don't really
You
think...
You get points for dying.
That's true. It's true.
Okay.
You say that, but people, it's true.
Dude, don't think it ain't true. Don't think it ain't true. You
It's
get
like
bonus
how
points for
it's like
dying.
how when
John
somebody,
Lennon was still alive today, people would hate him because he wasn't a good person.
Correct.
it's crazy how
But they're like, oh, that dude was talking about peace and like, he beat his wife and stuff. He's terrible.
Right. Well, dude, and here's, first, exactly. The Me Too movement and all that would have gone back and looked at who that guy was if he was still breathing and been like, hold on, you can't consider him that, you know? And I get that people are more complicated than whatever, and I don't know for a fact what all happened, but
He just seemed like a jerk in general.
right.
Dude, did you see that? Did you?
What came out of his mouth and his
Did you
behavior
know that there was
didn't seem to be always in alignment with one another.
There's a spoken word album he did with Yoko Ono called The Wedding Album.
I don't even have a problem with Yoko Ono, in all honesty. I don't see nothing wrong. I mean,
Well,
she makes her own weird art. That's fine. That's cool.
They're both kind of
I mean,
just
I
a little
assume
annoying.
They were both hypocritical jerks, but like, you know.
I don't.
Okay,
I don't know.
let's talk about the
whole
this got
side
into
bit.
a whole
But
different
going back
thing.
to the-
That's what happens when you mythologize people and you put them on giant pedestals. It
Right.
ends up being
Right.
weird.
And two, if you look at things through the prism of history, like if you start going into most of these artists' lives, there's
If you put Paul McCartney up there, you're gonna be like, whoa, this guy made temporary secretary. He attempted murder. That's just that's
but
It's true, but the
the '80s were not kind to either of these bands, except for Tattoo You.
but
That is an exception.
my point though with all of that is that I think because the Stones stuck a little bit to the blueprint more than the Beatles did, like the Beatles get this huge bonus points for that. The Beatles were writing their own music before the Stones. The Stones were kind of a cover band early on of old Mississippi Delta blues music and things like that, and then they began to write their own stuff. But dude, first of all, personal preference has to matter when you're talking about things like this.
Yeah.
And I just would slap rather listen to the Stones talk about things because one group of guys wore a white hat, one group of guys wore a black hat, and I enjoyed the black hat more.
totally fair.
You know what I mean? And
I get that. I just even
and
if
no
I do,
guitarist in the Beatles was ever Mick Taylor. You know, and Keith's better than any guitarist in the Beatles as well. You know what I mean? And it just don't sit
They
there and
never
tell
had a
me
drummer as
Don't
good as
tell me
Ringo.
John Lennon and Paul McCartney are better than Mick Jagger because
Ringo was-
you know that ain't true, and you
never
can
had
ask both of them.
Ringo.
If you stood on John's grave and said you were better than Mick Jagger at your job, John would rise up out of the grave and tell you you're wrong and go right back down in his hole. That's what would happen.
No, I agree.
Oh, dude. You know what's funny? That Yesterday movie that came out. They CGI'd John Lennon as alive. Imagine how fuming Paul McCartney was.
It was like, dude, I'm
still alive.
Right.
Why would you resurrect John? I'm literally alive.
I am
What?
here.
And dude, Paul does seem like a great guy. Like I saw Paul and Ringo, which is why I'm 100% sure he knows that Mick's better than him. But I saw him on Ringo's birthday party. He finished up the show and he did. Dude, he could still sing, could still play. Really amazing for a guy his age, you know. I mean, but Mick's still amazing for a guy anybody's age. But we won't get into all of that. What you got? Anything else, buddy? Who's the best man? Who's the best front man in rock and roll right now? Oh, Mick Jagger. How long's he been that way? Since '66.
I was about to say about 50 years.
I mean, and we have a question I came up with. I thought this one was really good, just personally. You know, I mean, I'm kind of really good at like everything, so like I'm kind of like the best. You
That's
know,
why you're the producer,
you know.
baby.
If you're gonna put something over, let it be yourself.
Yes. Try to insult me. That's not gonna work for me, brother.
The Doors versus Cream.
Let there be greatness on earth, and let it begin with me.
Yes.
What now?
The Doors versus Cream.
All right.
All for the Doors, say aye. Oof. Ow. I kind of want to stand up for the Doors now. I'll go Cream. All for Cream, say aye.
Aye.
I do not know enough about Cream.
I mean, White Room's pretty much as close to perfect as you can get.
Well, Cream is...
I hear it's good over some coffee.
It's great, and it's a great Wu-Tang Clan song, as you
Great.
referenced earlier. But you had a supergroup that was created with Jack Bruce, Ginger Baker, and Eric Clapton.
Might be the best supergroup ever.
Probably the best trio.
Well,
At playing their instruments. We'll say that. Like
Yes,
ZZ Top has a
playing.
huge discography, things like that, right?
Rush was a trio, though.
Dude, that's close. That, you know...
Yeah, they're
You
close.
got
They're
a
close.
point, because people sleep on how good Alex is at playing guitar in Rush, and he's amazing. But Clapton's God, so it's...
Like, yeah, Clap. It's kind of like
And he's... Okay, but
I don't really.
there is no virtuoso in the Doors.
That's fair.
There just isn't.
Do you think their music is better though?
No.
Do you even like the Doors?
I really like the Doors.
Yeah.
A great deal.
Yeah.
I don't want to act like I'm shooting on the Doors.
Yeah.
But dude, Jim was a poet and weird. And as we've said before, it hurts. People get points for dying. And Jim passes away at 27, and we assume he was going to continue on the trajectory. What do we know about every career we can talk about other than the Stones? The albums get worse.
Yes.
Other than the Stones,
Other than the Stones, baby.
unless that
the Stones
like
keep rolling.
unless
Well,
that-
no moss.
The Beatles did one good thing.
unless
though.
we're talking about like David Bowie's '90s catalog, in which case like
You're right. Bowie's in that category. The Beatles were smart, and they
By
and
the
they
way,
quit putting out albums.
and
They
died.
splintered off
and died.
and died.
And by the way, I kind of want
Genius.
to point this out because I doubt a lot of people would know this. But when I was ragging on Prince's '90s stuff, I was just joking around. I was just trying to make Dad angry. I was like that.
I see.
It's all good.
Putting yourself over. Okay,
It's all
here
good.
we go.
Like
But-
because David Bowie was the one with the awful '90s career.
But the thing is about the Doors is, do they have songs that I absolutely enjoy? Of course.
Riders on the Storm.
An organ being in the middle of, and when I say they're not virtuosos, that's not completely fair.
That's not saying they're bad.
It's comparing them to
Cream.
these three guys.
Eric Clapton, who is God.
Yeah, right. Ginger Baker. Okay.
Dude, it's
But they're
fucking
really
Cream,
good,
like-
and they can get into a pocket and really, really do well behind Jim. And he was amazing at getting. He was amazing at being the focal point of what was going on, and he's telling these long stories, and it's very good. But you're comparing a very good band who is important to rock to somebody that should be on one of those mountaintops with the Beatles and the Stones, and that's
Yeah.
what I mean.
Yeah. It's kind of like I'm a real big Cream fan, but I think like most people, not most people, but a lot of people are. Like, I don't really think there's anyone that outright hates Cream. But if you do hate Cream, please tell us in the comments.
I think it would be. I would think if you know Cream, you like it.
Yeah.
Much like if you've tried Cream in your coffee, you enjoy it. If you haven't, then you still think black is better. Black coffee is better. I drink my coffee black, but it's because I like to try to prove I'm tough to myself by drinking something that I hate every day.
Yes.
I challenge myself every morning to choke down this nasty cup of coffee.
Just terrible. People say they drink black coffee. I'm like, oh my god, do you hate yourself?
When I was a little kid, a friend of mine's dad, Ted, he said to us, can we drink coffee? And he'd be like, only if you can drink it black. Because if you can't drink it black, you're not old enough to drink it. And so for my entire life, I have tried to prove to myself I'm old enough to drink coffee. It's so pathetic. Okay, go ahead, Ray. I'm sorry.
We are still on our quest to find a band worse than System of a Down in Dad's eyes. Of course, now we are going to go with the world-renowned punching bag of music, Nickelback.
Nickelback versus System of a Down. All for Nickelback.
All for Nickelback, say aye.
Aye.
Absolutely.
System of a Down wins clean again, unanimous vote. Strike it down one further down the list. Come back next week, we'll knock it one further.
I think Mike's calling you.
Is that a wrap?
Yeah, I think that's a wrap. Yeah, unless you want to do more bells.
No, let's wrap it up.
Let's
save. We got to save something for the future.
Dude, we gotta save.
Gotta think about the long-term future.
Right.
That's
We're going to be doing this for years.
That's what the producer needs to do.
But that's what you call in the biz. That's what you call a tease.
Yes.
That was good. Okay, next week we will be doing hyperpop.
No, we would not. No.
Well,
80s funk.
yes.
Emo.
Stuff.
What we are doing is Ray?
We are doing a little new thing called Fixing Musical Blind Spots, where we will listen to an album
Or playlists.
or an album and a playlist, and we basically say our feelings on it and if we like this album or not.
Mhm.
If we absolutely despise this album, think it's the worst thing ever created, and we think it should be just erased from the face of humanity. That is what's at stake here.
It's eternal damnation is at stake here.
For an entire musical genre.
For an entire
based
genre.
on 10 songs from each genre.
Based on
Yes.
I like it.
Based on 10 songs in one album.
Better not put any System of a Down songs in there.
Well, that's not the genre, right?
Immediately.
That's not the genre.
The genre is bad.
Hyperpop written down, 80s funk, and emo. I don't have sucks.
Yeah.
If we had a sucks genre, we would put System of the Down in there, and you would be able to evaluate it.
That's true. You're right. Anyways,
I can't wait until...
The genre that I'm bringing to the table for this is hyperpop, and I'll probably explain a little next week about it. What Kev is bringing to the table is...
80s funk.
And what I am bringing to the table is emo and pop punk. Basically, the entire playlist is literally just filled with MCR. And
I mean, that's the big emo band.
Well, some people say that they're not emo. That they're not real emo. And it's weird because they're literally the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of emo.
What would you consider real emo? Like, mindless self-indulgence? Like, at what point is the line drawn?
like
if you want to talk about music that sucks, mindless self-indulgence. Anyways, moving on.
Hey, can we wrap this?
Yeah, let's wrap this.
Hey, real quick, you said there's a new album out today on YouTube.
Oh yeah, the Microphones evidently.
The new Microphones.
You guys are fans.
I love the Microphones. I think Phil Elverum is the bomb, whether he be in the Microphones or as Mount Eerie. He is one of the best songwriters. Structurally setting up a song with the music and the lyrics of this generation. I think he is just incredible.
Awesome.
So check out this new Microphones album. Check out some old Microphones albums. Check out some Mount Eerie. Listen to It Was Hot, We Stayed in the Water. Listen to The Glow Part 2, which was my favorite album for like 6 years and is still like number 2 for me.
Wow.
So good. So good.
All right.
That album got me through some tough times, brother.
Oh. Means something.
It means something, dog.
That's what I'm talking about. Ray.
I actually don't know a lot about the Microphones. I've just heard their name a lot, and I've listened to some of The Glow Part 2, but I haven't really finished it yet.
So it did not get you through the times?
No. Not yet.
No, not yet, and also I haven't.
You haven't really stacked up the bad times yet?
Not yet, no.
You will. Don't worry. I guess that's a wrap for the show.
Well, especially if you try to convince yourself to drink black coffee every morning.
Right, correct.
I will say that will not help your chances.
Those are the dark times we have to get rid of.
Yeah.
Correct. This has been a.
I have to listen to the microphones just to get through them.
My morning coffee.
Right. This has been a Ray's.
This has been a Ray's
review.
Music Reviews. Signing out.
Copyright 2020. Thank you.